Let's make sure that we're recording here. Everything is good. Perfect. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dinah Fernandez, the Digital Revenue Manager here at Vantage Apparel. We are really glad that you could all join us for today's Digital Web Store webinar session. Whether you are a distributor exploring new selling tools or an end buyer looking to simplify ordering, today's session is designed with you in mind. We'll walk through the benefits of using a digital web store, explore our branding and customization capabilities, and give you a live demo of how the platform works. Leading today's session is our amazing digital operations manager, Christy Ridpath. If you have questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section here, and we will do our best to answer as many as we can live or follow up directly after the session. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send you guys a copy of the recording via email today, along with some simple next steps on how you can connect with your distributor to get started. With that, I will hand it over.
Great. Thank you, Diana. Welcome, everyone. We want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy days to join us to learn about how Vantage's web store platform can help you make the most of growing demands for e-commerce in the promotional products world. As Diana mentioned, I'm Christy Ridpath, the Manager of Digital Operations here at Vantage, and I'll be taking you through today's presentation. I'd also like to thank the customers that have joined our webinar today. Nice to have you with us. So after doing a couple of these webinars, as you know, we have these webinars every other week. So after doing a couple of them for distributors as well as for our end buyers, I realized that there are two things I want to make sure I address kind of at the outset, right before we get started. First is Vantage handles 100% of the creation and maintenance of the Vantage web stores, including any modifications you might have to your store once the store is live. So basically, we build it for you. I wanted to make sure we kind of made that clear in the beginning. And second, another thing that kind of eats away at distributors, or just a lingering question that they have during these presentations, has to do with how the money is handled. So we have this issue of the handling of the money that is collected from end buyers that buy things on the store. So I want to make it clear that Vantage does not collect any money from the end buyers. We only, just as we do in traditional ordering, we only invoice the distributor for the items and decorations that are ordered on the site. So the money between the folks actually buying things on the web store and the distributor, that's only going to be between you. We don't touch any of that, any part of that part of the transaction. So I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way, so to speak, at the beginning. So we all know how the demand for and use of e-commerce has been and continues to grow, but this actually puts some real numbers behind those trends. So these numbers are all across industries, of course, and yes, the T does stand for trillion. So between 2020 and 2027, the revenue transacted via e-commerce is expected to double to over $2 trillion. In the promotional products industry alone, by 2027, 9 billion in revenue will be generated via some type of e-commerce transaction. And for our promo distributors, the amount of business they are getting from online stores is increasing rapidly. So it's basically evolving from sort of a nice to have to a real essential part of the way distributors support their customers. We know there are options out there, and deciding what solution is best for you, whether you're a distributor or an end buyer, that decision can be daunting. So here are the top characteristics or features that help ensure you're making the right choice for your e-commerce solution. The first is assortment and variety. You need a single place where you offer both quality and variety to your audience. On a Vantage web store, you can include products not only from Vantage, but also from Alpha Broder, from Sanmar, S&S on the apparel side, and as well as the on-demand collections from Starline and iClick to help kind of round out your selection with some really great hard goods. So on a Vantage web store, it's easy to curate a very well-rounded collection of branded merchandise for your customers and employees. Next is branding. Branding is central when creating a web store. When we create a web store on our Vantage platform, it's essential that it properly reflects and reinforces the company's brand. Next is this concept of zero touch. A Vantage Web Store ensures that your program is supported with complete order integration, making supporting programs with single piece or small quantity orders much more efficient and easy to manage. In light of that no-touch integration, we've placed very heavy importance on PCI and SOC 2 compliance to give everyone peace of mind with regard to our handling of sensitive personal data. And lastly is ease of use. The online shopper in all of us has been raised on Amazon. And when we built our web store platform, we knew ease of use was going to be essential. People are used to finding what they want quickly and checking out with as few clicks as possible. And our Vantage web stores mimics that experience. So the Vantage web store offering has two main options for storefronts. Pop-up shops, which are basically time-based web stores that are open for a set period of time, usually about 2 to 4 weeks. Our Shop 365 stores are basically always on. There's no set amount of time these stores need to be active. There's just no defined end date to it. So as the orders come in, they're produced and shipped. So, and your store can contain, again, any products from Vantage, SanMar, Alpha Broder, SNS, and the products from the on-demand collections of Starline and iClick on the hard goods side. The only stipulation is that at least 50% of the products on the store must be from Vantage. So those are our two store types. And there isn't a whole lot of difference in terms of functionality. It's really more about that time that the store is open. So here are four things we think you need to know before making any decisions about an e-commerce store, whether you're a customer or a distributor. For the customers on the line, I want you to think kind of a year in the life of your company. I want you to think about the events that may happen within various departments or teams within your company. So think about product launches, announcement of new benefits, national or regional sales meetings, and as well as seasonal or periodic uniform refreshes, even for your sales team. These are all events or milestones that can be supported by a pop-up shop web store. And as I mentioned, a Shop 365 is always on and can support those promotional product needs that are more steady throughout the year, like new hire items or ongoing uniform orders or customer appreciation items. So let's talk about pop-up shops. Pop-up shops are great for many of the events that I just talked about. They're a great way to present a curated collection of branded products to an audience for, again, a defined amount of time. That limited time nature of a pop-up shop can really be effective in driving engagement and sales. Um, like I mentioned, pop-up shops are usually open for about a month. And then once the store is shut down, the orders can be aggregated, produced, and shipped all together. So, like I said, these are great for those seasonal uniform refreshes, any company-wide celebrations, gear for your annual or regional meetings, and they're great, of course, around the holidays. And speaking of that, soon you will be seeing a push from our marketing department to start talking to Vantage about your end of year or holiday web stores now. Let's get those stores built over the summer and then simply launch them in the fall. It'll be much, much easier for everyone if we can get a jump on your end of year needs for that. So when it comes to your web store, a curated collection is the way to go. Remember, think back to ease of use. People want to find something they like quickly. So keeping the products on your store to just a few choices across a handful of styles is the way to go. If you want to have hats on your store, you don't have to offer all the hats. Maybe just pick two or three cap styles, maybe two caps and a beanie kind of thing. So you want to keep it really, really targeted. You don't have to have every possible style available. And in addition, the way our web stores are designed, brand guidelines will be enforced. So, for example, if the full color logo only goes on the white items and the white logo only goes on the darker items, the store is designed in such a way to ensure the right logo is used every time. We don't leave it up to the end buyer to pick and choose unless that's what you want, but we're always looking to enforce the way your brand should be represented. And lastly, single piece ordering is the way to go. The days of ordering and decorating in bulk ahead of time, ahead of before when you really know what the demand is going to be, those days are over. We support this single piece ordering on our web stores. So there's also a really good sustainability and cost savings message behind single piece order stores like ours. Single piece also gives you the ability to personalize the items on the store, and it makes you much more agile and able to change direction, giving you the flexibility to update your offering with the latest trends in apparel or other goods. So if something on in your program is not working, it's not selling, people don't like it, and you need to change kind of course correct with different items, a single piece store makes that much, much easier. And as I mentioned at the outset, Vantage handles all of the updates to your store. So, a little bit about Vantage. We are expert decorators. We've been awarded as the #1 decorated apparel company for the past 29 years. And when it comes to apparel, we believe it should be timeless and high quality. Those two concepts merge into what we call logogevity. It's that combination of the apparel and decoration to create that lasting brand recognition for your audience. We have 3 locations in the United States and one in Europe, helping us support your global needs as well. And as the average order size has decreased over the past couple of years, we know that connectivity and efficiency is central to helping you boost your sales and expand your reach. So here's an idea of an idea of the workflow to create a web store. The distributor will work with the Vantage account rep and their customer to select products and discuss decoration methods. Once that process is complete and you have approved your artwork proofs, the web store team will begin building the store. Then we review and test internally, followed by your review. So the distributor and the end customer can review and test the store as well. So basically, from store build to testing takes about 3 weeks. And again, we start the process once your artwork is approved. As I mentioned before, the on-demand collections from Starline and iClick are a great addition to the Vantage web store platform. These products give a really well-rounded addition of hard goods to the apparel mix. So we're really excited to have these suppliers as part of our fully integrated solution. And I think I might just start referring to them as StarClick from now on. But yeah, we're really excited to have them. Great, great selection as part of their on-demand single piece offerings. Any product from those suppliers is shown on a web store with real-time product data. So that's not only Starline and iClick, but it's also, of course, the Vantage products, Alpha Broder, Sanmar, SNS. They're all shown on the web store with real-time product data and real-time so descriptions and coloring, color variants and stuff, and they're real-time inventory as well. So if a product in a specific style and color is out of stock, an end buyer won't be able to purchase it. So no more back order management. They'll still see that it's there, but the inventory will be zero and they won't be able to order it until it's updated and refreshed in terms of inventory. And again, that takes that management off of your plate. The Vantage Web Store platforms offers varied and flexible features, especially when it comes to how the end buyer can purchase the items on the store. Not only can we support credit card purchases, but we can support points programs, promo codes, budgets, and gift cards. So there are a lot of great options. And again, just to reiterate what I mentioned at the beginning, if you're going to have a credit card store, it's going to be the distributor's credit card merchant that's actually collecting the funds. So all we do is connect to your credit card merchant to process the order, but we don't touch that money. There's no fee on top of it. So just to kind of clear up some of that confusion of, well, how does the money get from the end buyer back to the distributor? It's direct. We don't touch it. So here are some additional features. We can also add to the web store any existing inventory you may have on hand. So let's say you've got tumblers or apparel in inventory from a previous program and you want to sell that on the store, we can support that. You then just become the supplier for those items and the orders. Anytime someone orders something like that on the store, we just send you the order for fulfillment. So it's really flexible in that way. Again, if you've got some inventory hanging around that you want to kind of get rid of, we can support it on the store. And because we like to say it more than once, we have won the PPAI Pyramid Award 29 years in a row for our decoration prowess. So we're really proud of that. And speaking of decoration, here is a quick peek at some of those deco methods we've perfected over the years. As you can see, we're much more than embroidery. Everyone knows us for embroidery. I believe we are the largest embroidery facility in North America, but we are much more than embroidery. DTF, we have our new chenille patches. We can support personalization, laser applique, laser tech patches. There's a lot that we can do. And here's a highlight on one of those decoration methods that's really gained in popularity. It's our direct to film deco method. It's extremely popular, very durable, excellent for promoting high def images. Really makes your logos pop. It's a great option for those garments that may not be able to support an embroidered logo, but still gives you that high def look. Again, just a reminder, no need with the single piece ordering that we can support on our web stores. There's no need to tie up precious resources with inventory. Single piece ordering with Advantage Web Store is definitely the way to go, especially with this higher demand on those smaller quantity orders. So embroidery, direct to film, and laser etch are the single piece deco we can support on the store. If you think you're going to have much larger volume orders through your store, we can also talk about adding some others that do have a minimum order quantity, like screen printing or laser tech patches or something like that. But right now, if you think you've got a store that's going to truly be that much smaller quantity, embroidery, DTF, and laser etch are going to be the deco methods you're going to want to look into and discuss with us. And if you're not familiar with Vantage's apparel, we are known for our better and best options in the apparel world. And here are some of the well-known brands that we offer. And again, any of these can be part of your Vantage web store. So first we got Greg Norman. We offer Burn. We've got a great extreme visibility line. Ralph Lauren, we have our own in-house brand of Vantage and Vansport. So, and we've also recently partnered with Redwood Classics in Canada. They've got some really, really nice pieces. So I'm going to pause there before I jump over to a store demo. I just want to pause and see if we have any questions that we should address.
Yes, so a very common question that we get all the time. How long does the process from start to end of creating the website typically? Sorry, hold on. I read this incorrectly. How long does the process from beginning to end for a web store build to go live take?
Okay, so it's about 3 weeks from the time that your artwork is approved. Once we know that the logos are approved, we know what logos we're dealing with. Everything's kind of been finalized from your perspective. It's about 3 weeks. Think of that first week is going to be store build. We're adding images to the store. We're adding the products and all of the various logo options. Second week is internal testing. Third week is your testing and going live. So it's roughly 3 weeks. So that doesn't include the uh, the the proof approval and logo creation and all of that. That's going to vary depending on how smoothly that goes, how quickly that goes, and how many logos that you're dealing with. But the actual store build piece is about 3 weeks.
Thank you, Christy. We received a question regarding invoicing. How do we invoice for on-demand orders? Is it every month, every week? How do we invoice shipping?
So with regard to shipping, I was usually going to cover that during the demo. Let me cover shipping first. There are two kind of aspects to shipping to consider. One is how do you want the end buyer, the person on the store that's checking out, how do you want them to be charged for and pay for shipping? As far as setting up the store, we have a couple of options. They can simply pay for what the retail rate is based on where they're shipping it to and what our estimate is of the dimensions um, of the shipment, right? Based on the weight and how big of a box it has to go into, et cetera. We calculate that in real time, and they can simply be charged for that. You can decide that you want shipping to be free, right? So if you want your the end buyer to not be charged for shipping, and it's just something that you want to build into the price of the items, that's an option too. Many people are used to seeing free shipping, even though deep down we all know that it's not really free. So that's an option. We can also do a sliding scale. So if you want to charge them a certain amount for shipping based on how much they're spending on the store, we can do that. And that sliding scale can look however you want it to look. It can be from $0 to $50, they pay X, and 51 to 100, they pay Y. That sliding scale can be anything that you want it to be. So we have that flexibility as well. The other part of shipping is how the distributor is going to pay for shipping. And we have basically two options there. We can bill it to a third party UPS or FedEx account, whether that's your end buyer's account, your customer's account, or it's your own. We can do that. Or we can simply use Vantage's accounts and invoice the distributor for what it actually costs to ship the item. I do want to say that um, with regard to if you have Starline items or iClick items on your store, um, we obviously handle everything as far as logo setup and getting the orders to them and all of that. You don't have any additional moving parts if you have Starline or iClick on your site. But since we don't decorate hard goods here, Starline would be shipping any Starline items that anyone ordered, and iClick would be shipping any iClick items that were ordered. So if I do an order on your web store and I've got a quarter zip from Vantage and I've got a Stanley from Starline, I'm going to get a package from Vantage and I'm going to get a package from Starline. So that's going to impact you know, the shipping as well. Sorry, Diana, what was the first part of that question?
The
Invoicing?
yes, invoicing, if it's on a weekly or a monthly basis.
So every order that comes through the web store is going to generate an invoice. So it's order and invoice. So what you can do is there'll be a code that you can actually go onto vantageapparel.com, look up your account, and for the code for your particular web store, it's usually kind of an abbreviation of the name of the store. You can search for all the invoices for the store and kind of pay them on, a weekly basis or whatever frequency that you need to pay the invoices. But an invoice is going to be generated for every individual order. Now, also, I want to reiterate, even though the shipping is coming from Starline and shipping would be coming from iClick, you're still only getting a single invoice from us for all of the goods that are on your store, regardless of the supplier or where they're being sourced from.
Thank you, Christy. Um, if the product or if a product is received incorrectly, how is that typically handled for distributor slash end buyer?
So the distributor can interact with their Vantage account rep to get that rectified. Um, Usually on a web store, there will be in part of the sort of onboarding form that I'll talk about in a second that helps us gather all the information we need to build your store. Is some of the information that might be in the footer in terms of like if you have any questions or issues, please feel free to email, and then it would be um, more than likely a contact at the distributor. So those are handled kind of the same way if you had any issues or questions with regard to any other order you might place with Vantage.
Thanks, Christy. And then for the hard goods, do those count towards the 50% Advantage products needed, or is it only apparel?
It's only apparel. So in other words, if you had, sorry, it's it's still factored in when we see whether or not the store meets that Vantage. minimum of 50% on the store. So if you've got 10 products on the store, at least five of them have to be from Vantage. The other five could be from any of the other suppliers that I've mentioned. So I click Starline, S&S, Sanmar, Alpha Broder.
Perfect. And then when it comes to returns, so say a customer changes their mind, how do we typically handle that?
Most distributors, honestly, if there isn't an issue with it, most distributors will say on their web store, all sales final. But that might be up to you and your end customer in terms of how flexible you want to be with regard to items that they end up not liking. If there's nothing wrong with it and they just would prefer something else or change their mind or something, that might be a policy you want to kind of work out with your customer and then talk to Vantage about to see if we can execute on it.
Awesome. And then we'll do one more, and then you can go into the store demo. We'll answer any other questions after that. Can I track my order after it is shipped?
So if someone is creates an account on their web store. Kind of think of it as a anything that we buy on an e-commerce site, right? You've got a guest checkout option, or you can actually create an account. If they create an account, they can log back in and see when it ships. Um, once their order does ship, they will be emailed tracking information.
Gotcha. All right. I think we
All
can move forward with the store demo. Thanks, Christy.
Yep. This is always a little tricky switching. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Looks good.
All right, great. All right, so this is our demo store, and you are all free to visit this demo store and poke around. It's demo.brandedcompanystore.com. So feel free to kind of jot that down and poke around our store anytime you want. This is a very generic representation of our web stores. One of the things that we really focus on, as I mentioned, we really want to make sure that when we build a web store, we're really reinforcing the brand of the customer. So we will often go to any, current web stores that they might have, their corporate website. If it's for an event, we might go to the website for the event and make sure that we're using elements to reinforce the look and feel of the event or the company website on the web store. The URL for the web store is always going to be something.brandedcompanystore.com. That's the standard URL. So usually where it says the word demo, we would put in, kind of anything that you want, but it's generally the name of the store. But that's part of the onboarding that we do with you is we ask, okay, what do you want the URL to be? We can also support custom URLs. So it doesn't have to be the brandedstore.com domain. We can have it be, your own custom domain if that's something that you desire. We can do that. So up here, you'll see the categories. That's also part of the onboarding. We're going to say, all right, what categories would you like to display? And these categories can basically be anything that you want. Often some distributors will say, hey, let's have a category that says new. And then that's just going to always kind of be changing. And that's where some of the newer items might be. Um, so if we come in here, I'm just going to click on polos now. And this gives you the gallery view. Um, so there's also some flexibility with regard to how this gallery looks. If you want it to reflect just the color, if you want everything to be black, that appears here. If your products are a mix of black and blue, we can make sure that that's reflected here as well. So if I go into any single product, and as you can see, the Omega Polo, I think we've displayed every single possible color, but that Doesn't necessarily have to be the case. If you're only going to offer this polo in black, blue, and white, those would be the only options here. And as you can see, these numbers under the various sizes, that is that live inventory that I was talking about earlier. And again, if it was zero, I wouldn't be able to order it. It would just give me an error and say cannot be ordered at this time. So if we select, it's defaulting here onto the black item. So here is the drop down for the logo options. Now, there is no limit to the number of products you can have on on your site. It is not recommended to have anything to, 20 is kind of a good number to keep it at. Anything more than that, and buyers can get overwhelmed. But there's also no limit to the number of logos that you can display. But again, the rule still applies to try to keep it simple and keep it easy for people to check out. So here is two options for the left chest logo. And I want you to just kind of keep an eye on the virtual image here. You'll see that one is the first one. It's primarily got a white background. And if I switch here, it's a little bit different and it dynamically changes so the end buyer can see what it looks like on the item. And if I switch to the silver or white, let me do the white. I'm going to do the white. You're going to see the logo change. So here, um, on the previous one, it was primarily, a lot of white background. This is black because it's on a white shirt. And if I switch, that logo changes as well. So again, it's not possible for me to pick the white shirt with that other version of the logo. I'm restricted to just what I see in this dropdown. And as far as checkout options, um, it depends on how the individual is going, largely depends on how you expect people to pay, the end buyers to pay for their items. If it's just going to be a credit card site, or you're just going to prompt them for a credit card, they're going to enter in their credit card information and check out. We can make it so that the site supports guest checkout, that anybody could go to the site, browse around, and buy something. You can also make it that it's password protected, and maybe there's only a defined list of people that you want to give access to. In that case, we can take a list of approved users, first name, last name, email address. The other option is to give us the email domain that we should accept. So anybody coming from, you know, the customer when they go to register on the site, because we can make it so that they have to register on the site. When they enter in their account information, we don't necessarily have a predetermined list of people, but we know that anybody with the at abccompany.com email domain can can create an account and shop on the site. So if you've got a really big customer or customers on the line, if you're a really big company and you don't want to be giving out a list of everyone's name and email address, a way around that is for us just to know what are the acceptable email domains that we should allow into the site. Okay. I'm good now that I've opened up the store and talked about it. Any questions, Diana?
Yes, you talked about the guest checkout, which was good. That was a question that we received before. Um, Another question that's here is, can different departments see different products or logos?
Yep. Absolutely. We can. That's a really good way to kind of prevent this list of logos from getting really, really long. If you've got a company with a lot of divisions or departments and you want to display very specific logos based on what the person does within the organization, that's easy enough to do. We can, that would require us to, number one, either have a list of people and know what group they were part of, or have the person self-register and say what group that they were part of. That would could change um, either the products that they see and or the logos that they see. So absolutely, that's entirely possible. We have a lot of folks that do that. We recently had a distributor did one for a hospital, and it was an anniversary pop-up shop. Everyone who was there with the company for 5 years 10, 15, I think it went all the way up to 35 based on when they logged into the site and we understood who they were. We displayed very specific products based on their level of service, and the logos were different for them.
Awesome. Thanks, Christy. And can we add in-house inventory to the site?
Yes. So what we would need is a probably best would be a spreadsheet. We need to know product name. We need to know product description that you want to display. We need to know the variants, in other words, the colors or sizes that you want to show. The color, the price that you want to display the product as, and then we just need to know where should the orders for those items be sent so they can be fulfilled. That's all we would handle on that. We would just make sure that the products were displayed on the site and we would route the orders to the appropriate place. The other thing we would need to know on that is inventory. What's our starting number of inventory? Because as people buy those items or order those items on the site, we will appropriately tick down the quantity as well.
Perfect. And will I need to make changes to the site myself, slash, how are changes handled?
So we do everything with online forms. It helps us really manage our workflow so we know what web stores need to be built, what web stores need to be updated. So there's a short form. We would send you a link to it. And it just has you describe, what you need us to change on the store, and we handle those changes for you. From a distributor's perspective, there are a couple of things that you would be able to access through the back end of the store. You would have access to some reporting, so you could see, order activity, detailed order reports. You would have the ability to add users to the site, add budgets. So if somebody just started with your customer's company, you could enter that person in and say, hey, they get a $125 budget. Um, you can generate gift card codes. There are a couple of things that you can do as the distributor, but you can also rely on us to help you with that. So yes, in short, we help with the maintenance and changes on your website.
Perfect. And then we have one more question here. If you drop ship to a conference, can you individually name slash label the garments for ease of distribution?
Yep, we can absolutely do that. There might be a labeling fee, and that's something you can talk to your sales rep about. But yes, so we've done this a lot where it's usually a pop-up shop, and it's for everyone to kind of get their gear ahead of the annual meeting because they're going to do the group shot, the group photo. We want to make sure everyone has their polo or their Mesa jacket or whatever it might be. Um, in that scenario, everyone orders, we shut down the store, we aggregate the orders, everything goes to production at once, and then we drop ship it to wherever it needs to go. And if it's going to your conference, then we can make sure that it's going to a single location. We can make sure that all the individual items are labeled with the purchaser's name.
Awesome. That's about like all the questions that we had in here, Christy. Thank you for
Okay,
answering them.
excellent. Okay. So again, this is the web store. What else can I say about? I'm going to dive a little bit more into the checkout options. Of course, I mentioned credit cards. We can handle a point store as well. I'm going to kind of put point stores by itself because if we've got a point store, that's the only way people can check out is using their points. If you want to have a store that supports gift cards or promo codes or budgets, we can do that, and we can also mix those with a credit card option. So let's say you've got a store that supports gift cards, but if somebody goes over their limit, you want them to still be able to purchase the things and just use a credit card to pay the balance. We can certainly do that. So that's possible. Budgets are a great way to kind of do like kind of a uniform shop, right? If everyone gets a certain budget every year or every quarter to kind of refresh their uniforms, that's a great use of that on a Vantage Web Store is to set everybody up with their quarterly budgets, and the store will actually send them a welcome message to let them know that they've got budget. This is how they log into the store and create an account. So there's that aspect to it as well. It's called a welcome email. Um, let's
Christy, can
see.
I stop you to ask,
Uh-huh.
can you use points and a credit card at checkout?
Nope. Unfortunately, that's why I kind of mentioned that point stores are, as as our chief digital officer always drills into our head, point stores are point stores. They can only be point stores and they can't be mixed with anything else. So anything currency based, so gift card, budgets, um, those can be mixed with a credit card. And of course, a store can be just strictly credit card as well. And just to mention it again, it's going to be the credit card merchant account of the distributor. We don't collect money. Vantage does not collect money from the end buyer. We just sort of facilitate the transaction, send the information to the credit card merchant, but that's your the distributor's money to collect.
Thanks, Christy.
Yep. Any other questions?
We just got another question. Is there a landing page option where two separate stores can be listed? For example, a credit card store and then a point store.
Um,
Where that kind of two separate web store setups.
well, it would count as two separate web store setups, most likely. We might have to kind of scope that out separately. Um, because they are very much two different animals because the point store wouldn't interact in any way with a credit card payment or anything like that. Um, I think there is a way we can kind of do that, but we might need to sort of scope it out and talk about it separately. I have
Yeah,
some ideas in my head, but
sounds good. And are there specific credit card merchants that we can integrate with, or will it work with any platform?
so the good question, I should mention this. Three platforms that we currently integrate with are Stripe.com, Authorize.net, and CyberSource. Those are the three credit card merchants that are the most popular. If there is a credit card merchant that you work with that you want to see if we can integrate with, please ask us and we can certainly look into it. But those are the three that out of the gate, out of the box, so to speak, we integrate with.
Thank you, Christy.
Great.
Would we had another one regarding the credit card integration? Would the distributor handle the integration with Stripe, or does Vantage handle that? How do we integrate with them?
So the integration exists. So when you're filling out your onboarding form for a web store. And we take you through a series of questions. And one of them is, do you want to accept credit card payments on your store? Great. Then we have you indicate which merchant you work with. And then there are usually two pieces of information that the form will prompt you for. And it's usually something like an API secret and an API key or something like that. They're named different things, but it's basically two pieces of information that help us connect this web store to your merchant account. So we do that. You just have to get the details for us and then we plug it in. An important part of the testing process, and this is really just for the distributor, but it's relevant to the customers on the line as well. An important part of the testing is for the distributor or the end customer to place a real order on the site before we actually go live, because what we want to test there is that the transaction is hitting the merchant account, that it's capturing those credit card funds. So that's an important part of testing. But you just have to get us those two pieces of data and we handle everything else and then help us assist with testing.
Perfect. Thanks, Christy. I think those are all the questions that we had.
Great.
Yeah.
So, everyone, if there are additional questions that you have, I encourage you to, reach out to your Vantage sales rep, or you can reach out to us at webstores@vantageapparel.com. And like I said, let's start. If you have a desire or a curiosity about doing a holiday pop-up shop or some kind of end of the year web store, definitely start talking to us now. It's always great to get those built and ready to go ahead of time, and then we just flip the switch when you're ready to go live. So just in anticipation for how busy things get in the fourth quarter, we'd love to start talking to people over the summer about their end of year stores.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. We're wrapping up 13 minutes early, so we'll give you back that time. Like Christy said, if there are any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to us at webstores@vantageapparel.com. We'll keep a look at on our inbox and answer any additional questions that you might have. We will also send out a follow-up email with some resources and a couple next steps to get started with your distributor. And on behalf of the entire Vantage team, we appreciate your time and we look forward to helping you bring your program to life. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you.
Bye.